Okay. Here are our bumper brackets. Sorry for my voice. Had a game last night, screaming my face off, so I'm a little hoarse. These are your standard Ford bumper brackets from, I don't know, probably 76 to up into the 80s. Our rules say that we can use these to stiffen up, you know, how the bumper is mounted to the car, so we're gonna do that. The problem with them is I have a little bit of an angle here to this plate. I don't know if you can see that. We don't really want the bumper to be mounted at an angle like that, so we're gonna cut right here and remount this plate, and then we're gonna shove these back, weld them up completely solid, and then they get welded to the sides of the car. So I'm gonna clean these up, cut these, and then we'll move to the welding stage. Well, I got these all welded up solid, and I got them all cleaned up. So these could be mounted on the side, but I just measured, and they're coming back from the car. They're coming back just too far. I'll show you here. I want them to sit flush like this and be welded solid, but as you can see, I do not like how close this is to my wheel here. If I also have this wheel turned and someone was to hit it from the back. So I'm gonna cut these down a little bit and then re-weld the backs, and then I'll mount them. I have bolts going through, so I'm not too worried about this reducing the strength. I can re-weld the I-beam inside once I get this cut off. So got them both marked. I'm gonna cut the ends off of both of them, and then we'll see how they look on the frame rails after that. Well, here's what one looks like cut down. Cut this piece off the back. So if you want to see what it looks like on the frame of the car, I think it's giving a lot better clearance. That's just gonna go right in there nicely, and I can seam weld that whole thing all the way down and around, and then the bumper will mount to this. So we'll cut the other one, and then we'll weld these on. Well, we're doing a change in plan. Here's a car for a future season that I picked up last night, but that's not what we're doing right now. We picked up a different bumper, and this is the bumper that we're going to use now. The reason why we're doing that, as I'll show you in a second. Let's get this thing into the garage. A little heavy. All right. Okay. Okay, the reason why we're gonna be using this guy now instead of my old Buick bumper is because the Buick bumper, tough, heavy bumper, no doubt. But the problem that I'm having in getting it mounted is where the old bumper brackets were on this, completely pushed in the back of the bumper. This bumper was not a loaded bumper, so this is not a flat surface, and I really need a flat surface to mount this bumper as strongly as possible to the car. I mean, I could try to mount this, but there'd be a bunch of gaps in there, and so Brought this one back from long-term storage. I got this bumper from a friend of mine, Jonathan, a couple years back. It's already got the ends cut off. I have the ends in a box over here somewhere. We're just gonna stuff some stuff in here to strengthen it a little bit, and then we are going to weld it up solid. I'm actually gonna hammer the skin down to the bumper itself and weld that solid, and then we'll mount the brackets and mount this bumper to the brackets, and then we'll have actually a very much stronger setup than we would have had with this Buick, even though I love this Buick bumper. And also this bumper it's got a little bit of a point to it, not much. It's a flatter bumper, and so, you know, flat bumpers, a pointy bumper, and you're hitting with a pointy bumper all the time, it puts a lot of stress on the frame and can actually cause your car to nose much faster. So this is a flatter bumper, and so I think it'll be a better option. What we have to finish doing today is finish up welding up the backs of these brackets solid. In fact, I want to take one of these and just see how well this is gonna fit against the back here. Oh yeah, this is gonna be very nice. So that'll weld up nicely. We'll even, that's even better than I thought it would be. And then once we get this welded down, we can hammer these down the top and weld completely around there like that. And so I think that's gonna work much better with this. I mean, I don't know. And it's not these brackets that's the problem. I could weld that, I could plug weld all that solid in there. But this bump is really, it's not allowing it to sit flush against the car, and so we're gonna do a change of plans. So first order of business is to get these knocked out. I gotta fix the welder because I broke the wire off in there. Then we'll clear off this workbench, bring the bumper over here, stuff it, do all the work we need to do to it next. And then we'll mount these brackets to the car. Then last step, we'll mount the bumper to the brackets, and this thing will be ready to rock. Progress fades out of the light. A new creed. All day and night. Okay. This is the piece of angle iron that I'm going to shove into the inside of the bumper that I showed you. I just took some scrap pieces of steel that I have laying around. I'm going to just gusset along this channel here with some pieces just to make this a little stiffer, and then this piece actually I'll slide completely into the side of the bumper, and then I can seal off the ends, and it'll be, I don't know, it's not a fully loaded bumper, but hopefully it'll slow down the bumper bending some, and just keep everything more firm on the car. So I'm gonna weld this whole thing up, and then the next time you'll see the bumper appear, and we'll shove it in. Okay, so I put all sorts of little scrap pieces along this inside of this angle iron. Just finished welding it up. It's so hopefully this will stiffen the angle iron piece and, you know, just keep it from bending for a little longer. We will see. I just really don't have the material to do a fully loaded bumper right now, and I really don't have the desire to do a fully loaded bumper. They're really heavy, and again, you know, I'm trying to find the perfect balance between too much pressure on the front of the frame and you know, the best combination of strength versus just over engineering. So okay, here's the bumper. I think it's an old Oldsmobile bumper. It's had some welding done to it. We're gonna weld it a whole lot more, but first we're gonna shove this this piece of angle iron. It's gonna get shoved down inside here, and to do that, I think what we're gonna have to do is actually cut off these little tabs here, so that it'll slide freely in there. And I think the best way for us to do that is gonna be with Sawzall real quick. Okay, tabs are out of there. So let's put on the gloves, because this center section is still pretty hot. And let's see if this sucker will slide in here. I'm hoping this bend isn't a problem. I'm thinking it's gonna be though, knowing my luck, but we will see. We might be hitting that bend at this point. Let's see if we can look. Yeah, so I don't know if you can see down inside there, but yeah, we are hitting that bend. So I think what we're gonna do here is let's get this nice and firm against the old chop saw. Let's clear a little space here, and I think we're just gonna smack it the rest of the way in with a hammer. Okay, we got the gusseted piece of steel here. Not sure if you can see down that or not, but we've got that hammered through the center of the bumper so that it's It's not exactly even. It didn't really come. I had to cut a little section there so I could hammer it in a little bit more, but that's how we're gonna stuff our bumper. And we're gonna fold those ends around. So the next step that I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna fully seam weld this bumper, and then I'm gonna cut and I'm gonna fold in and seam weld those. So when I check back, this thing will be completely seam welded. Here's a nice little shot for you, just as I seam weld up this bumper. This plastic front piece is just completely catching on fire and melting off, which is great. Make sure if you're in a welding environment, try not to breathe in fumes such as this. I'm just gonna let this thing burn off because it's got to come off anyway. So while the bumper continues to melt itself, I am gonna go ahead and weld these brackets on. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Here's the aftermath. All of the rubber and plastic is burnt off. You can see the angle iron poking through these holes. That's got to get seam welded solid. And then I'll seam weld these horns, hammer down the skin, seam weld it, do it on the other side as well. And then I'll fold these in a little bit, and then I have 2 end caps that'll go on it. So this thing's coming along nicely. I'll show you also the bumper brackets have been welded on. So nicely seam welded there, seam welded on the back, bottom. Also this plate, this is gonna sit nicely on these plates, and I'm gonna actually mount it high up here and then bend this up and weld it along the bottom so that it's kind of cradling the bumper, which will actually, I think, have a better shot of keeping it from getting it torn off or anything like that. So we'll get going on that. Okay, bumper's been mostly seam welded. I am gonna fold down this top of the skin and weld it to the back, to the top of the bumper, but that's gonna be a lot easier to do with the bumper on the car. So I'm actually going to mount it to the car now. So to do that, we're gonna use oops. Hi. Here to pick up the sign. I think it's right on the porch. All right, I hope you can see this. Top is nicely seam welded. I have folded over the plate on the top. I've got this completely seam welded back here. So climb over this. Oh. This side, same thing. You can see seam welded, bent over, seam welded up, and then these brackets nicely seam welded. So we have sorry it's a little dark. All right, better lighting maybe? Oh no, brighter anyway. So that is how the bumper is mounted. So we've got nice welds. I'm gonna still have to curve the bottom of the plate up underneath and weld that solid. But very happy with the results. It's centered nicely. And
the old Buick bumper, well, she'll get used on the next car. So this one has been a tough episode, guys. Took me probably 4 days to film. Hope you're enjoying the series, and we'll catch you on the next one.